Video games are a divisive medium. When it comes to the video games that people play, it will vary from person to person depending on their preferences. Personally, I like games that are easy to pick up, yet hard to master. Games that I can sink a lot of time into, but also have a definitive ending. Games that can tell an impactful story that will stick with me for the rest of my life. So, not Tekken. Fighting games are not a genre that I'm very well versed in. Sure, I have played a lot of Dragon Ball FighterZ, but that's mainly because it was one of the only games I could play with my closest friend during high school. Despite my playtime, I really don't think Dragon Ball FighterZ is that great of a game, especially in its current state, and outside of DBFZ, I don't know much about other fighting games or the FGC in general. In fact, I had no idea that Guilty Gear Strive even existed until its final beta when I played it with that same friend. Over time, my interest in Strive increased little by little, but Donkey's video was what finally convinced me to buy this game. His video went over the typical stuff, like the game's mechanics and character roster, but then...
The element that really brings this whole game together, though, is the soundtrack.
Guilty Gear Strive's soundtrack, huh? Let's have a listen. Oh, no.
Body's bullshit lazy, still my heart is blazing. If the words kill me, I don't need a new one. Soon you will know. We already know the smell of the game.
$60 later, I own Guilty Gear Strive. And since that fateful day during the summer of 2021, I've sunk over 100 hours into this game and plan to sink way more. Before I explain why I love Strive so much, I feel as though I should go over why I don't care about other fighting games. So, what is it about other fighting games that just doesn't interest me? Combos. It's literally just combos. A lot of fighting games revolve around combos, and in order to hit optimal combos consistently, you're going to need to spend some time in the lab. I hate the lab. When I play a video game, I just want to pick up a game and play it. I want to improve at the game by playing it naturally. I don't want to beat the life out of a sandbag for hours until I have the optimal inputs muscle memorized. I just don't find that process enjoyable. But you know what I hate much more than practicing combos? Being stuck in them. Watching my opponent hit me with the same combos over and over while all I can do is sit there and watch doesn't sound like a fun time. I know that long combos are not a staple of fighting games, but they're in the one I've played the most, and that's what's kept me from checking out other fighting games. Guilty Gear Strive does not have this issue. Combos are nice and short in this game, meaning that they are not that tedious to practice or get hit by. This leads to a game that's more focused on neutral, which is way more enjoyable because both players spend more time playing the game rather than watching Virgil hit another touch of death. To complement this neutral focused gameplay are some unique mechanics, all of which I like. Let's start with the most obvious one, tension. Tension is this game's version of meter. It's a bar that fills up as you fight, and it can be used for various things, like supers or faultless defense. But the more interesting use for tension comes in the form of the Roman cancel. Roman cancels cost half a bar of tension and cancel everything your character is doing, putting them back in a neutral state. The possibilities with this are near endless. Extending combos, extending block strings, dirty mix-ups, covering mistakes, get off me Gold Lewis, and so much more. This leads to a lot of interesting choices regarding how you manage your meter, and you are incentivized to spend it because that meter resets at the end of each round. Of course, tension is not this game's only brilliant mechanic. There's also burst. Burst is a mechanic that allows you to push your opponent off you regardless of the state you're in. Nago bringing you from one side of the stage to the other? Not anymore, he's not! But burst is not just a simple get off me tool, because if your opponent predicts your burst, you lose. It's a mechanic that allows players to even the odds if they can use it effectively, but punishes them hard for being careless. And finally, we have the wall break. Hitting a player in the corner for long enough will cause the wall to break, and both players will resume the fight in the center of the stage. The player who broke the wall will gain extra damage at the end of their combo, as well as having their tension gauge fill up automatically for a short while. Being stuck in the corner is never fun. Mix-ups are harder to block, and combos usually have corner routes that do more damage. What the wall break does is give the aggressor a distinct advantage, but also allows the defender to actually play the game instead of blocking until the conception occurs. Beyond just the mechanics, the game's character roster is also spectacular. There are a good handful of characters and all of them feel unique. Even characters with similar moves or goals play pretty differently. Both Sol and Kai have a lot of moves in common, but Kai can play pretty well at any range, whereas Sol excels when he's within sniffing distance of his opponent. Potemkin and Gold Lewis are both close-range heavy hitters, but while Potemkin likes to grab you and call it a day, Gold Lewis will churn the butter until the wall shatters. The characters that you will enjoy playing will be based on your preferred playstyle. Want a good all-rounder? Play Kai. Want a fast character with great mix? Play Chip. Want to improvise the whole match? Play Faust. Do you like to sniff glue? Play Potemkin. Unga Bunga? Does the thoughts of going in the training room scare you? Play Ramlethal. To make matters even better, all of these characters are pretty viable. Sure, there are some characters that are better than others, and yes, there are undoubtedly some matchups that make you want to sing in a Japanese bar, but overall, there's no character that's unusable. Besides, tier lists and bad matchups are a staple of fighting games, and they always will be. It's impossible to have a perfectly balanced game, but I think Strive does a pretty good job. However, I can't praise this game's roster without mentioning the elephant in the room. An elephant that has a gun.
It's Chaos, the god of destruction!
Happy Chaos is undoubtedly a problem. He takes zoning to a whole new level and is beyond tedious to fight. You have to slowly crawl toward him, inch by inch, and once you finally get close, he also has disgusting pressure and mix-ups. However, I don't think he's that big of an issue. For starters, he's really hard to play correctly, and thus you won't see a lot of him unless you're playing at a level that's way higher than I could ever hope to achieve. And if you're playing online, you can always just decline any Chaos players that challenge you. Regardless, I still thought it was worth mentioning. Also, Chaos Dittos with someone that's equally as bad at the character as you are is always a good time.
If I could not go into that and just do the super, that'd be great.
The super?
Yep, that one. Nice.
The only thing left for me to talk about at this point is the game's presentation. And unless you're blind, you don't need me to tell you that this game looks incredible. The art style is beautiful and all of the characters look amazing. I especially like the character designs. Every character has mad drip. This is still an anime game, but all of the characters look down to earth instead of insane and over the top. Compare the character designs in this game to the designs in Rev 2 and it's night and day. Speaking of the characters, all of their animations are gorgeous. You can feel the characters' personalities in the way they move and attack. And you best believe I didn't forget about this game's soundtrack. This game has some of the best vocal tracks I have ever heard in any video game ever, with a wide variety of genres. Words can't describe how good these songs are, you just gotta listen to them yourself.
Bring it out, keep grinding, diving deep like cold as steel. I won't face my doom, sayonara. Well done, how dare you? Never too late to bend the knee. When hell freezes over, sayonara. I drift tonight, can't read by the waves. I will just be
Guilty Gear Strive is a game that I did not expect to love as much as I do. Most competitive games don't stick with me because I would rather play a ton of different games rather than grind one forever. But Strive manages to be one of my most played games because of its ease of entry, its diverse roster, its gorgeous visuals, and its phenomenal soundtrack. How does this game stack up against other fighting games? I don't know, nor do I care. To the hardcore fighting game fans, this game could be underwhelming or lacking in depth, but to this casual, Guilty Gear Strive is a fantastic time. Heaven or hell? Let's rock!
Smell of the game. Once there, everything comes through. I've heard of such a dreamy place. Do you think my broken wings will heal? Hope so, 'cause I can't fly well. I wonder if this rain will stop one day. Someone's been crying all along. No worries, there's only one road, so I can't get lost. All I have to do is walk. Placed by the